Well, oil continues to rise. OPEC saying it sees the market as rebalancing and gaining, quote, massive momentum. However, that view isn't shared by our next guest, who expects the recent bullish momentum to fade. I want to bring Mark Keenan, who's Societe Generale's global commodities strategist and also the head of Asia Pacific research. And Mark, you know, credit where credit is due. The last time we spoke to you back in January, you said you were very concerned about positioning in the market when it comes to these speculative net long positions in the oil market, and to some extent those kind of chickens have come home to roost. When you talk about the risks facing this market, and I know that you've written at length about positioning, you've written a book about positioning, in fact, is this still the key concern that you think is a temporary uplift when it comes to prices?
It's still on our radar screen. Back in January, prices were very elevated, way in excess of what we had as our fundamental price target, which was around $62 at the time. And we thought of the market really as a stool, a three-legged stool. And one of these stools was the positioning stool. And we explained that it was a little vulnerable, a little wobbly, as it were. And since then, we've had about $8 billion of length coming out of the market. And it brought the price down about $7 to $8 at its trough. But positioning still remains very much on our radar screen. It still is very elevated. It's less extreme than it was in January. And one of the things that surprised us is the resilience of the positioning. We thought that given the right catalyst, and we had that to a certain extent with the sell-off in equity markets, that we would have seen more length exit the market. But with the curve structure in a backwardated shape, which means near prices at a premium to longer-term prices, this gives long-only investors something called a roll yield, a positive roll yield that they earn by holding positions. So this has been a comforting factor, an offsetting factor in the length. But it's still on our radar screen as something to watch as we move through the year.